Are you confused with all the recent PC hardware releases? Are you looking to build a new rig but don't want to waste your precious dollars on expensive parts you won't see any benefit from? Has the AMD and Intel product war left you alone in the dark? Well, you're not alone. For many people out there, it's definitely a trying time to get into PC building. With all the competition on the processor side and the cryptocurrency miners driving up graphics card sales, it's hard to tell if you're getting a good deal. In today's video, I hope to shed some light on what's great in terms of getting you the best price to performance for a new PC build around $1,000. What's going on, guys? Andrew here with another episode of East Coast Tech, and today we're looking to part out the best price to performance for about $1,000. Let's begin with a few ground rules. Firstly, the PC is going to be for an average PC user / gamer. So something that can handle 1080p gaming and rendering, since most people view content at that resolution. Second, an SSD boot drive should be expected in 2017. Thirdly, we are not going to factor in a monitor or a valid copy of Windows. Lastly, our focus is not aesthetics. But aesthetics can and will be factored in for the sake of keeping the build somewhat attractive and modern. With that out of the way, let's start picking. Open up PCPartPicker.com and start a new parts list. Personally, when parting out a new build, I like to start with the processor. Since we're building an average user PC here, something like a Ryzen 5 or 7 on the AMD side, or a Core i5 or i7 on the Intel side are probably our best bets. Also, quad-core chips or better should be standard at this point. We could do a more budget build at a later date, where we can kind of throw out that stipulation, but for now, quad-core or bust. I'll sort them by price, and there we go. At the top of the list, in other words, the cheapest quad-core we can get based on our parameters is an Intel Core i5 2320. This is a really old chip that came out with the Z77 chipset. This definitely triggers my modern senses, so we'll skip over this one. The next CPU on the list here that's relatively modern is actually pretty new. The AMD Ryzen 1400. This one's a quad-core chip with multi-threading, so 4 cores, 8 threads. Not bad for $155. We'll pick this one for now. Luckily for us, the CPU comes with a cooler, so we can skip the next line. On to the motherboard. Let's go full ATX on this, since spending $1,000 should at least get you full-size hardware. As for chipset goes, the Ryzen 5 1400 is overclockable, which we should be able to take advantage of in this situation. The B350 or X370 chipset will allow us to do this. Sorting by lowest price, the MSI B350 PCMate takes the crown here. Let's see if there are any pictures. Okay. All black motherboard, black and silver accents, and it's a B350 board, so we will be able to overclock. The rear I/O isn't bad, two USB 2.0s, two USB 3.0 ports, and a Type A and Type C 3.1, and 5.1 audio support. Honestly, this is probably all we need. It has M.2 PCIe support, and the top PCIe slot is PCIe 3.0 by 16, all modern specs. I'll add this one to the cart for now. On to the memory. We could probably get away with 8GB here, but I'll try to shoot for 16 since that's where the sweet spot is. We'll put ourselves down for a 1 or 2 stick kit at 16GB, and let's have a look at what we have. Ryzen is still a bit picky when it comes to memory. Pretty much anything that uses a Samsung B-Die should work just fine, like what's usually used in G.Skill and Corsair memory. Ryzen also likes faster RAM speeds, so I'll try to factor that in as well. In trying to keep aesthetics, and while trying to pick a slightly higher clock memory, I'm going with the Team Vulcan DDR4 2800 dual channel kit, which is at 16GB. I checked MSI's website for compatibility, and we should be able to get this RAM up to 2666 MHz, which should net us a decent boost in overall performance. I'll skip over storage for now. Video card. Okay, cryptocurrency miners have pretty much destroyed the market for graphics cards, Even AMD's new Vega cards, which were just recently released, have been bogarted by them. But we'll try anyways. I'll sort by anything that I know is going to perform well at 1080p gaming and rendering. Obviously, the 3GB GeForce GTX 1060 models would be the cheapest. Honestly, I added them to the search only in the event we can't find a better card at a decent price. And it would appear that the AMD cards are faring worse on the price side, since the cheapest RX 580 card, the 4GB model, is $280. I could get a 1060 with 6GB of VRAM with a higher base clock for the same price, which is probably the route I'm going to go. Obviously, I will select the EVGA card here because it has mostly similar specs, which brings our current rig price to $645. Nice. Now on to storage. As I previously mentioned, an SSD boot drive should be a thing at this point. Something in the 240 to 256GB range should do us well. We'll probably get a better deal on a 2.5-inch drive, and then I'll sort by price per gigabyte, which is cool because for once in this video we can actually see our search sorted quite literally by price to performance. Modern SSDs from reputable manufacturers usually have comparable read and write speeds, which means we're good to start picking. Kind of torn between the SanDisk SSD Plus and the ADATA SU800. Is the extra 16GB worth paying another $5? Seeing as we will be losing most of that space when it's formatted, it probably doesn't make much sense to get it. So the SanDisk it is. For the storage drive, 2 terabytes should be plenty of space to start out with. 7200 RPM speed at a 3.5-inch form factor, and here's our list. Gonna go skip over the Constellation drive at the top. I've had pretty bad experiences with these personally, so they're not something I can confidently suggest. I've also had bad experiences with Toshiba drives. Hitachi and Seagate Barracudas I haven't had any bad experiences with yet so far. So I'll select the Hitachi for now. All that's left is the case and the power supply. If you've seen my video on picking the best power supply, then you know it's usually a good idea to pick your power supply after you've chosen the rest of the parts for your rig. PC Part Picker says I have a total max power draw of 296 watts. Based on that, a power supply of about 500 watts or greater would be necessary to ensure stable operation. The least efficiency rating I'm comfortable with is bronze, and we're set to search. Note here that, like with our memory selection, let's stick to reputable brands. Let's check out the Seasonic. It's not bad, it's 520 watts, so slightly more headroom for upgrades down the line. It's bronze rated, so decent efficiency, and it's a Seasonic. Little known trade secret, most other high-end power supplies, like those from Corsair, are actually rebranded Seasonic power supplies. We'll go with this one for now. Last but not least is the case. We also have a budget of about $175 left, which is probably overkill for a case, but let's see what's available. Mid-tower is probably good here, no included power supply. We should have front panel USB. We should also get a window. Now to sort by price. The cheapest case is the D-Cool D-Shield, which isn't really $30. It's actually more like $45 after shipping. Even more if there's applicable tax. It only comes with wood fans, a bit too ugly for my tastes. Next. The next few choices are ridiculously outdated, and honestly, if it's got more than 2 5.25-inch drive bays, it's outdated. Even 1 or 2 is pushing it. Then we have the Rosewill Graham. The front's a bit gaudy, but know how to place colors, and the inside's actually pretty modern. Can accommodate up to 2 2.5-inch drives, 2 3.5-inch drives, 1 5.25-inch drive, and it's got a power supply surround to higher direction cables, and 2 included fans, which I think we have a winner. With our total now currently at $865, we can now review the rest of our parts to see if we can make any meaningful improvements. Already something sticks out. I think we should get a slightly beefier power supply to give us a bit more future-proofing. For $55, we can get a semi-modular 700-watt power supply with an 80+ bronze rating, which leaves us $120 to spare. How about a little bump in our CPU core count? For 196 bucks, we can get the Ryzen 5 1600, which gives us an additional 2 cores and 4 threads for increased CPU performance. Lastly, I upgraded the motherboard to the MSI X370 Gaming Plus. This is the cheapest board that allows for SLI or Crossfire for possible dual GPU setups in the future. And ladies and gentlemen, we are still about 50 bucks under budget. And I think I'm going to call it here. To summarize our parts list, we have the Ryzen 5 1600 processor, an MSI X370 SLI Plus motherboard, 16 GB of Team Vulkan DDR4 at 2800 MHz, a 240 GB SanDisk boot drive, a 2 TB hard drive from Hitachi, an EVGA GeForce GTX 1060 6GB graphics card, a Rosewill gram case, and a Rosewill 700-watt power supply. And these parts check off all the boxes for price to performance based on the ground rules I set. You could build a slightly cheaper price to performance PC, but you will be hard pressed to find one that would look this good. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, hit that like button. Get subscribed if you don't want to miss any more content from me. I will have the parts list for this rig down in the video's description. Again, this was Andrew with East Coast Tech, and I'll see you next time.